What is going on, guys? Today, we're going to be talking about my second favorite character in all of One Piece, my boy, Charlotte Katakuri. Specifically, we're going to be discussing just how powerful I think he is, and you could even say that I'm going to be talking about how weak I think he is, because I think that in comparison to the other top Yonko commanders, he is considerably weaker than them. You see, the thing is, I believe that, at least from what we've seen, all of the other top Yonko commanders are about admiral level, meaning they are actually comparable to their captain. So what I want to do here is I want to go through all of the other top Yonko commanders and discuss the things that we've seen them do and what we've heard about them, and explain why I think that that makes them as strong as I think they are, and then I will compare that to what we have seen from Katakuri. So the first person I want to talk about is King, because he's the one where I really don't have that much information. I'm kind of just assuming that he's going to be that powerful because the majority of top Yonko commanders are that way, and he is also the top Yonko commander of the person who I consider to be the strongest character in the series. Additionally, like how Katakuri suffered because of how early he was introduced in the story and how early he was forced to get into a fight, so he had to be kind of around Luffy's level, I think it's going to be similar with King, where he's going to be scaled with the story, but he is after the Katakuri. While Luffy has gotten considerably stronger, even if he is not going to be fighting Luffy, he'll probably be fighting someone like Zoro, who is going to be similar to Luffy. So I think that he is most certainly going to be considerably stronger than Katakuri, and maybe even near the level of the other top Yonko commanders. So next we have Shiryu, and if you follow my videos, if you've watched most of them, then you might remember about 2-ish weeks ago I made a little strange of a statement where I said that Magellan was stated to be admiral level. I don't know why, for some reason, I believe this to be accurate. I mean, it doesn't even make sense that something like that would be stated. Like, in what context would that even happen? I don't know. But for some reason, I thought that. That is obviously not true. But it is worth noting that Shiryu has been stated to be comparable to Magellan. And with that being said, despite the fact that it hasn't been explicitly stated, I think that it is pretty reasonable that Magellan would actually be admiral level. The guy was basically the only really formidable opponent for the prisoners of Impelled Down. I mean, I guess they had the Awakened Zones, but compared to him, they were nothing. What he was able to do was insane. When we actually saw him in combat, he basically destroyed Ivankov, who is supposed to be a high-ranking member of the Revolutionary Army. When you put a guy in charge of a place as basically the only lines of defense against people getting out, when there could be people inside such as Kaido himself, he's actually been in Impel Down multiple times, yeah, I'm thinking he's going to have to be extremely powerful, especially when jailbreak kind of situations do occur. So since Shiryu is supposed to be comparable to Magellan, I believe that it would make sense that he also would be admiral level. Moving on, we get to the most contentious one of the bunch, the one that people seem to have such a problem with as if they don't think he is very powerful. Of course, I'm talking about Marco. I have been saying since, seriously, the beginning of this channel that I believe he is clearly admiral level. I think that his feats speak for themselves. I could see him honestly being the strongest of all the top commanders. I personally don't think he is, but if that was to end up being the case, I'd be like, well, yeah, you know what? I mean, he was the right hand of Whitebeard. While Whitebeard would obviously defeat him, I think that they would be able to have a huge epic battle where it would take forever for someone to actually win. The guy has had favorable exchanges with all of the actual admirals, and in the case of Kizaru, he totally bodied him. I don't care what anyone says about Kizaru not really trying at that point. That's fine. Maybe that is the case. Maybe he wasn't trying. But I'm not going to make such an assumption. How can I just assume that he wasn't trying? That's ridiculous. As far as actual feats go, things that we've actually seen him do, there's absolutely no reason, in my opinion, to not consider him admiral level at this point. And finally, we have Ben Beckman, the top Yonko commander of Shanks. I think that this one should be the least contentious. It's quite obvious that he's going to be extremely powerful, definitely admiral level. Oda basically stated that he is actually comparable to Shanks, who is of course a Yonko, who most certainly has to be Yonko level. And this is Shanks' crew we're talking about. I mean, come on. Shanks' crew is implied to be the most overall powerful among all of the Yonko crews, so it makes sense that the commanders, especially the top commander, would be absolutely insane. Not to mention, when they rolled up on Marineford, Ben Beckman just pointed a gun at Kizaru, and Kizaru was just completely done. He was totally done with the fight. He didn't want to get killed, so I don't know exactly how that makes sense, but it does seem to be a thing, so that's kind of important. Once again, I mean, you can give me the Kizaru was just screwing around BS, but that time it just makes even less sense, so I don't know. I'm not buying that. Maybe it's the case, but there's no reason to assume something like that at this point in the game. So I think I've made at least a decent case for all the other guys to be around the Admiral level. Let's look at what we've seen from Cotta Curry. The guy got nearly soloed by a Whole Cake Island Luffy, who, towards the end of the fight, acquired a very incomplete understanding of Future Sight. That's, pretty bad. Don't get me wrong. I don't actually believe that at that point in the fight, Luffy was more powerful than Katakuri. As in, if they were to fight to the death, I believe that Katakuri would have emerged victorious. In the past, I made an entire video talking about how Katakuri surrendered that fight because he respected Luffy and realized that he had run out of time. He needed to go. He didn't want to continue the fight anymore at that point because that would cause some serious issues for Luffy. But still, he was pretty bloodied up, he was breathing heavy, and at the end of the day, he kind of did, like, pass out once he allowed himself to. I mean, should he really have been that exhausted against that form of Luffy? Like, with the exception of Marco, just because of the way his abilities work and whatnot, I don't think this is really his type. I'm thinking that any of the other top Yonko commanders against that version of Luffy are probably going to one-shot him, so that's a pretty dramatic difference. That's why, overall, I think that the Big Mom crew seems extremely underwhelming to the point that it doesn't really even make any sense, and I'm assuming if Katakuri is going to come back into the story, if the full Big Mom crew is going to get involved in some kind of fights, I think Katakuri is just going to become extremely powerful compared to what we saw on Whole Cake Island. Like, if he was to go up and fight King or something, or fight some other top Yonko commander, which very well could happen at some point, it definitely would make sense. I bet he will be able to go toe-to-toe with them, despite that not making sense based on what we've seen in the past. I think the case of Katakuri was just some really bad power scaling by Oda. He kind of has a tendency to do such things. I mean, look at Crocodile. He's an extremely powerful character, but he got defeated by Luffy in Alabasta. So it's like, okay, I've seen this before. I have an idea of where this is going. So yeah, it sucks that at this point, it seems kind of clear to me that Katakuri, the second best character in all One Piece, is pretty weak compared to all the people he's supposed to be comparable to, but you know, what are you gonna do? I bet he's gonna end up being a lot stronger. That pretty much wraps up this video. If you enjoyed it, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Remember to leave me a comment letting me know what you thought about this video, if you enjoyed it, if you think that my ideas are totally whack, the top Yonko commanders are not that strong, or maybe they are and Katakuri is right up there with them. Let me know what you guys think. With that all being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, an excellent rest of your weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.